On June 5th, when the Switch 2 launches, it's getting a few GameCube games I never thought would happen, like Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, and Chibi Robo. Of course, this news is somewhat bitter, seeing as it's locked behind not just a Switch Online membership, but also a $450 system. If you want to play it on a GameCube controller, it'll probably be another $60 because they haven't said if controllers from Switch 1 will be next-gen compatible. Regardless, I'm super excited for the new lineup of games, especially Path of Radiance, because it used to be so expensive. I was wondering, like many, what games could come next. While not all of the games coming are developed by Nintendo, they are all published by Nintendo. Makes sense due to licensing, but that makes me a little nervous. What about games like Simpsons Road Rash, a Crazy Taxi ripoff that pretty much everyone in the 2000s played? It probably won't happen on Switch 2, but what about Pro Skater 3 since the next-gen remake is coming out? Probably a shot in the dark. Let's talk about 5 GameCube games I hope get on Switch 2, but likely will not. Chime in down below with your hopes and dreams as well. PN03, or Product Number 3, was developed and published by Capcom. If you're YouTube savvy, you've likely heard of the Capcom 5, which included PN3, Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, Killer 7, and the one we never got, Dead Phoenix. Aptly named, might I add. Shinji Mikami was at the forefront of this big GameCube movement, mostly because at the time, there was a lot of Sony and Resident Evil drama. More on that at some other time. He directed PN3, and I feel like this is one of his most unique. You are Vanessa, a somewhat sassy space mercenary on a job to blow up some robots room after room. Something I noticed right off the bat is her flashy outfit, and the way she bobs with the music. As you dodge and shoot enemies, you'll feel a rhythm appear, and you have no choice but to play along with it like you would in a real dance game. Shusaku Uchiyama and Makoto Tomozawa worked on the composition, giving it almost a Space Channel 5 parallel. Both of them previously worked on PS1 Resident Evil titles, and Shusaku was most recently composing Resident Evil Village. This is the kind of game that needs some Moonshake vinyl treatment. Not to get lost in the weeds, but PN3 was going to be called Robot War Game, and at this time, Mikami wasn't happy. Nothing felt right until a female designer suggested a woman lead, akin to Lara Croft, but in space. And German? With the last name Schneider. She's also voiced by the baddie Jennifer Hale, if you were questioning just how 2000s this could get, with a twist ending that calls back to The Matrix. Are you sold yet? Oh, I guess we should talk controls. The game is fully 3D, but as you press forward room by room, it feels more like a 2D shooter, akin to the subpar Space Invaders GameCube game called Space Raiders. Except PN3 is actually good. R and L allow you to dodge flawlessly, while A is shoot, B is jump, and X is lock on, which is very important. Being Mikami, you get Z as a 180 turn, famously in Resident Evil 4. Enemies have an attack flow, and you'll get used to the terrain to protect yourself. Otherwise, you'll die pretty fast. It's a good thing most enemies drop health. The truly unique mechanic comes in the form of your Aegis suit, which you can change as you unlock things from the shop, adding replayability. The simple shooter grows interesting as you use energy drive attacks, multi-hit attacks you trigger with multiple button inputs, like right, left, plus A. This stacks with the combo counter at the top, gives you higher scores as you play better. Hallways, robots, boss fight, and MGS-style dialogue. Hallways, robots, boss fight, MGS-style dialogue. Hallways, robots, boss fight, MGS-style dialogue. The game only lasts 2 hours or so, and yes, it's very cyclical, even if it is fun. Think of that as both a critique and a positive. The mission variety and overall aesthetic is more of the same. I'm sure most of this footage will just blend together, and the tough thing is that physically, this is a $40 game, if not more. I don't think it's worth that, and this is someone who spent $50 on it at some shop in Brooklyn, New York. So that's why it should be accessible on Switch too. Weird games are cool. Everyone wants to play underrated stuff. Well, too bad, because it probably won't be on the Switch too. If you like shooters, it seems like everyone knows about Ikaruga. But what about Chaos Field? The only English release of the game is locked on the Gamecube, making it $50 complete in box. Unsurprisingly, the Japanese Dreamcast version goes for over $130, and the PS2 New Order, Japanese only, goes for $44. From what I've read, there are not any real differences between the games like characters or weapons. So just think about it financially, perhaps. Dropped in 2004, Chaos Field was developed by Milestone Inc., best known for their arcade games on the Sega Naomi, a 1998 piece of hardware that was like playing on a Dreamcast, but in a cabinet. Milestone was founded by former members of Compile, best known for the Puyo Puyo franchise. Also, the director, Manabu Matsumoto, also directed Metroid Prime Hunters and The Misadventures of Tron Bonne. That's pretty based. Gameplay is executed vertically, with 5 stages that include 3 bosses each. There are 3 characters to choose from, with each of them using a different ship that's uniquely fleshed out. Picking Ifumi gets you a 6 laser standard shot, and Hal's shot shoots 2 bullets at a time. Each character has a blade to smack away bullets, and something called Order or Chaos. When in Order, you hit less hard, as do bosses, and some enemies stay hidden. When in Chaos, everyone hits harder, with more to attack, and you get less items to pick up as a trade-off. The combo and point meter prefers this mode much better. There are shields you can activate, but the game is rather tough until you learn the stages better. If you just can't get the hang of it, you can adjust not just how many continues you have, but also your starting shield. And, most importantly, the difficulty can change from easy all the way up to hard. Easy slows things down majorly and lets you feel out the controls much better. Especially since I don't have a manual. Wop wop. There's also the arcade mode, or original mode, to choose from, with the latter having not just bosses, but extra little enemies thrown in. Before we move on, I also gotta say, the OST is booming. It's so loud, but it also rivals every single other OST I've heard in the genre. Something that surprised me is that the composers of the game didn't do much else than this title. The typical reviews of the time, like on IGN, GameSpot, even Edge, give Chaos Field middle to negative reviews, saying it only looked okay and played boring. Don't listen to that, because it's true that these shooters are made for a certain audience, and that reviewer probably only liked WWE Day of Reckoning. Boo. The release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake of the classic PS2 Snake Eater, is going to be August 26th, 2025. My optimism is low, seeing as how much I truly love the original, but I have been wrong about a remake before. In October of 2023, Konami dropped the hotly debated Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, where half the games were not truly preserved and only included Metal Gear Solid 1 to 3. Meaning the price of the 360 and PS3 Legacy Collection boosted in price. On the discs, you could play these games in story order or numbered order, and this is how I went about it in 2020. Because the whole world shut down at that time, I was able to fully experience Metal Gear Solid, where beforehand, I think the first game I ever played was Metal Gear Solid 4, then I played 2, then I played 1 on PS1, and then I played 3. And then in 2020, I ended up playing MGS3, Portable Ops, and all of the other ones in more of the order that the story goes by. With all that being said, I had to track down an expensive copy of the only Metal Gear Solid on Gamecube, Twin Snakes. Funny thing is, for the $90 you'll spend, the disc may stop working because of the cover art peeling and cracking. Many GameCube collectors say this and Skies of Arcadia, two highly sought after games, suffer from the same issue. This problem, plus Nintendo exclusivity, equals no ports to modern consoles, and it's been 21 years. It's hard to track down a true factual reason as to why a remake of a Sony product could be stuck to the GameCube, but Kojima and Miyamoto, the Nintendo guy even then, are good friends, and awareness for the series seemed like a good deal. Otherwise, maybe Konami went Capcom/Resident Evil Shinji Mikami and wanted to scorn Sony by jumping for Nintendo exclusivity, a la Resident Evil 4, Remake, and Zero. I doubt it happened like that really, but maybe it's just a good speculation. Twin Snakes builds Metal Gear Solid over from the ground up in an effort to get it to the standard of Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. The issue therein lies with the unchanged placement of cameras and enemies. In the PlayStation 1 version, stealth was just about the only option you had in 9 out of 10 scenarios. In Twin Snakes, you can defy fixed cameras and shoot them down. This is just sounding like a small thing, but it cuts the difficulty in half. The other thing people have complained about since what feels like the dawn of time is the Matrix-esque fight scenes and unrealistic choreography toppled with goofy voice acting. In PS1 MGS, the music is subtle and haunting, punctuated by voice acting better than anyone was used to. Outside of Koudelka, Metal Gear Solid certainly is the best of the best on the system because they were directed so seriously. Twin Snakes is the campy younger brother in nearly every way. It's comparable to Evil Dead vs. Evil Dead 2. One is groundbreaking, made from literal blood, sweat, and tears, purely because the team wanted to get it done no matter what. Evil Dead 2 is an elevated experience with more money, more gore, and many more laughs. Success breeds even more creativity and a loopy sort of excitement in its team. Evil Dead 2 is commonly known as the favorite of the series, and the best of the two. Twin Snakes isn't the favorite, but it marks the tonal change of the series. I mean, just look at how wild Metal Gear Solid 4 gets. This change bothered Evil Dead audiences very little, because no one saw the first one until more success came with the sequel. Metal Gear Solid was so popular after MGS2 that everyone had something to say about Twin Snakes, and don't forget how people didn't like the Evangelion-infused MGS2 ending. Kojima loves to defy expectations, and that's why I really love Twin Snakes. Metal Gear Solid 3 is my number 1, and I think Twin Snakes is my second, followed by 4 as number 3. I would go into more gameplay detail and talk bosses and stages, and so on, but there are loads of videos on YouTube about it already. If you haven't played Twin Snakes, maybe emulate it, because again, there's no way Nintendo will bring it back, especially because Canadian devs, Silicon Knights, best known for Eternal Darkness, got obliterated after a back-and-forth lawsuit with Epic Games in 2007. Coming out of left field, we have the most unique golf, or frolf game you'll ever play. Ribbit King came out on the Cube and PS2 in 2003, developed by Jams Works. The only other thing notable by them is the 2008 Xbox 360 strategy title Cold Step Saga. Ribbit King is actually a sequel to the Japan-only PS1 game titled Kero Kero King. The premise to both are the same. Your little avatar whacks a catapult that a frog sits on, and instead of rushing to get a hole-in-one, you want to run into flies, spiderwebs, point bubbles, and other crazy traps to get a higher point count than your opponent. It is genuinely one of the most fun golf games I have ever played. The story is simple. You and your frog and talking picnic basket, who reminds me of Boombox from Parappa, has a meeting with the king of your planet, whose lead scientist says you're running out of some MacGuffin that'll need to be replaced to save the planet. There are multiple planets with different themes and obstacles, like a dino theme, ice theme, and lava world. Each planet has 4 holes and 5 courses. Your opponents are fairly easy to beat, but randomly they may come across a crazy combo by chance, keeping you on your toes as the maps try to sabotage you both and steal points. With so many opportunities for point combos, I can see this game being highly addictive. All of the characters you meet are very much an eclectic group, with a self-proclaimed referee named Sluggy, who I might add is a little...
Let's go kick off the Frolf Tournament Tour!
A referee? Are they always that creepy?
something. On his ship, between levels, you can go to a gacha machine to get random items, or you can use points to buy specific items. If you win, you get the points you earned plus the opponent's points to spend money with. Also, after defeating an opponent, you get a bottle cap figure in your museum. Speaking of collections, as you progress through the game, you unlock up to 28 CGI clips about Scooter, the main kid, and the others. This content is on a second disc. Apparently in Japan, these clips were used as promo on TV Tokyo before the show Oha Suda. These ran from June to July of 2003. 3 of those clips are actually cut only from the North American version. During the beginning moments of the game, director Yosuke Kihara's name popped up. I thought he'd be someone I knew more about, but all his credits include are just Ribbit King and a DS action platformer called Kero Kero 7. It's Japanese only. Kero means ribbit, by the way. I must say, besides gameplay, the art direction stands out so much. Again, I compare it to Parappa just in the bright colors and off-putting bizarre design I love, but the director is also the lead artist. It sort of makes me wonder what a Parappa sequel directed by Rodney Greenblatt would have been like. On the Gamecube, Ribbit King's price is at $180 USD complete in box and $150 loose. The PS2 release hangs at $70, and both come with the bonus discs. But yes, they're very expensive, and it is very not Bandai-like to port games unless it's a Dragon Ball Z title. Regardless of how you play it, it's a vibe when you're drinking coffee, and it's 2-player compatible, where you play with the characters you've beat. We have now come to the final title on the list, that being Alien Hominid. Buckle up for some history, because Alien Hominid was first a Flash game published on Newgrounds. That website has been kicking since 1995, serving internet culture for allowing users to publish games, films, art, and even audio. It was founded by Tom Fulp, who programmed Alien Hominid alongside artist and animator Dan Paladin. These two, with dev studio The Behemoth, released the better-known Xbox Live Arcade title Castle Crashers in 2008, and have continued to re-release and improve both of these on modern systems. P.S. The Switch port of Castle Crashers used to go for huge money, but has settled at 55 CIB. Alien Hominid HD has been released on the PS5, Xbox, PC, and Switch. The GameCube price, however, is still stuck at $70 complete in box, and the PS2 is $40. So seeing as it's released on Switch, it should be unqualified from this video. But I already put so much time into playing the game that it's staying. Sorry. The most expensive release is certainly the PAL Region GBA copy, going for $90 loose and $200 in box. Very rough. I had no idea, but PAL also got an Xbox version sitting at $10, but I've never modded my Xbox to play games that are outside of the NTSC region. Getting into the meat and potatoes now, Alien Hominid is a pretty brutal 2D side-scrolling shooter, where one hit can kill you. You'll start with 5 lives, and thankfully the control scheme is fairly simple, with B to shoot, or B to melee, and A to jump. You'll unlock different kinds of weapons, but you've got a small number of grenades that help greatly. One attack I loved was going underground to pull enemies in, but be careful of how long you do this, because you can lose your breath. There will also be objects to grab and toss, cars to bulldoze enemies with, and so many more set pieces. There are 16 stages and maps including urban settings, sky areas, deserts, and more. All of them are unique and quirky, with varied enemy designs that never bore, and match the humor perfectly. While there isn't really voice acting, the music and sound effects pair well with these short story interludes animated with the oozing of style something on liquid television would have portrayed. There are more modes like All You Can Eat, Pinata Boss, Neutron Ball, and more, but I didn't have the time or patience to pursue anything other than a bit of two-player action. Did you know there is an easier mode in options? If you're not super used to run-and-gun games, that will help you out a ton, but really, it comes down to trial and error, again, and again, and again. In 2023, 21 years after the OG, a sequel dropped titled Alien Hominid Invasion, which did also release on Switch, Xbox, and PS4/5. It seems to be more of a roguelike experience, which interests me a lot. I may end up returning to this title in the future when I do more of a co-op styled video. Alright, so again, I know Alien Hominid is a cheat on the list, but the video must come out this week. Says who? Well, I did. But if that bothers you a ton, maybe look into Disney's Magical Mirror starring Mickey Mouse. It'll never come to Switch, Gamecube Online. Are you happy now? Well, peace out, Girl Scouts. And thank you for watching, and also, let me know again what games you think will never come to the Switch Online, but probably should.